We begin tonight with a new report from the 12 News I-Team, dangerous deliveries. We turn to them for price and convenience, but are some of those semi-trucks carrying Amazon packages posing a danger to Valley drivers? Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. The I-Team's Bianca Bono partnered with investigative journalists from around the country to look into federal safety records. She also talked to crash victims who are demanding action and accountability.
Most terrifying thing I ever experienced in life.
For Demetrius Ivy, the events of December 12th, 2022 are fuzzy.
I don't actually remember everything because after I got hit, I went out.
These photos fill in the gaps. Ivy was on the I-10 exit ramp in Phoenix near 7th Avenue, turning right, when a large tractor trailer pulled up next to him, also turning right. Ivy's attorneys argue in a lawsuit that truck driver cut the turn too tight, hitting the driver's side of Ivy's car.
I did have police asking me, are you okay and everything. I really didn't have much of a response to know if I was okay or not.
The lawsuit says the commercial truck was owned by a company called Solid Road Express, but it was pulling an Amazon trailer.
They do a great job of getting packages to people really quickly, but they sacrifice safety because of that.
Attorneys Ryan Skyver and Kellen Bradley are representing Ivy in a lawsuit against both Solid Road Express and Amazon, which both deny responsibility. Skyver and Bradley allege crashes involving Amazon are too common.
They have a lot of their own drivers, but when they can't meet that full demand, they need to go find third parties.
Amazon uses its own portal called Relay, allowing third-party carriers to haul freight loads on behalf of Amazon. An Amazon spokesperson says they have rigorous safety criteria for carriers, and once approved, they can book assignments.
Traditionally, big shippers like Walmart and Target directly contract with larger carriers.
Alex Scott, an associate professor of supply chain management at the University of Tennessee, is skeptical of some of the carriers working for Amazon through the app.
They're working with small carriers, new carriers, those without much of a safety record, often people new to the industry.
In Ivy's case, the I-Team found that Solid Road Express was a new entrant in the U.S. Department of Transportation.
So they're not rated or they're considered unrated before the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration does an audit to determine if they're safe or not.
The crash between Solid Road Express and Ivy involves unauthorized subcontracting, where a carrier outsources a job to another carrier without Amazon's approval. Amazon says it is in direct violation of policy and they work to police it, but it happened. 1 year after the crash, Solid Road Express was issued an out-of-service order and its new entrant status was revoked. Ivy is not alone.
Debris was on the roadway and I had to slow down and the rest was history.
In October of 2022, Shane Baer was driving on the I-17 in Bumblebee when he said he was rear-ended by a truck driver.
I would say pretty much the trunk ended up at the back seat of my car. It ended up pretty much totaling everything.
He also filed a lawsuit alleging the truck was owned by General Freight Lines, Inc., and it too was pulling an Amazon trailer.
It really is, an 80,000-pound truck going against a 1-ton car, and the truck always wins.
Based on General Freight Lines data from the past 2 years, the company has an out-of-service rate of 33%, 10 points higher than the national average. An out-of-service violation happens when a carrier doesn't pass safety regulations during a roadside inspection, immediately prohibiting the vehicle or driver from operating until the problem is corrected. An Amazon spokesperson says looking at out-of-service rates alone doesn't tell the whole story, especially for smaller carriers. The company is still listed as an Amazon carrier on the DOT's website.
The DOT does not have the resources to do in-depth investigations of all of these carriers on the road. So it's up to the shipper, the Amazons of the world, to make sure that the carriers that they are using are safe and responsible.
In Scott's research, he found that in 2024, Amazon worked with more than 11,000 different carriers. Compared to Costco, Target, and Walmart, Amazon used twice as many outside carriers as those retailers combined. After Scott looked at the number of carriers with unsafe hours of service and poor vehicle maintenance, he concluded that an inspected Amazon load had a carrier with a very high unsafe driving score 14% of the time, compared to Walmart at 5%.
So Amazon if you compare to their peers, is generally hiring less safe carriers.
Amazon disputes Scott's methodology and declined to answer how many crashes its carriers have been in the past few years. A spokesperson said Amazon has invested over $2 billion in safety measures globally, implemented driver ID verification for every load, and updated equipment with industry-leading improvements. They add that one accident is too many. While we know there's still work to be done, we've implemented stricter thresholds. They believe their standards meet and often exceed legal requirements. As for Bear, he's had to undergo multiple surgeries due to the injuries he sustained in the crash. And Ivy has had to go through months of physical therapy. They and their attorneys want Amazon and its carriers to be held accountable. And as Amazon continues to grow, they hope the company becomes more selective when choosing who they allow to represent them on the road.
They can be a great company and offer a great service. What a responsible company should do is take responsibility, take accountability, and make some changes within their company so that these things don't happen as frequently.
Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Developing news tonight, Phoenix police are investigating after a man walked into a home and fired a gun multiple times. It happened in the area of 16th Street and Union Hills just after 5:30 this evening. Police say that thankfully no one was hit by that gunfire, adding that the people in the home knew the suspect, who then left before police arrived. Officers are still searching for that suspect tonight.
Tonight, a brutal reminder about the importance of locking away guns in the home as we continue to follow a tragic story out of Phoenix, where a 5-year-old was shot and killed by her 9-year-old brother. Authorities tell 12 News the gun belonged to the father. Phoenix police were called out to the home near 7th and West Weir Avenues around 9 o'clock last night. Officers tell 12 News that the 9-year-old had found their father's rifle and accidentally shot his sister. Family have identified her as Layla Ramos. Earlier today, we talked to a witness who saw the chaos unfolding.
Just the little boy was just screaming and saying, oh my God, how could this happen? Why? What happened? We have to do something. It was just chaos, the entire block. And you could see that the neighbors came out and they were all looking to see what they're screaming and the yelling.
The father, 33-year-old Irvin Ramos Jimenez, was arrested and booked for possession of a weapon by a prohibited possessor. Despite the state asking for a $250,000 bond, he was released on his own recognizance. Meanwhile, the family has established a GoFundMe to help with Layla's burial costs. We have a link up right now on our website. Just go to 12news.com if you'd like to help out.
New tonight, the parents of a 19-year-old Tempe woman are shining a light on a dangerous trend after their daughter died from inhaling chemicals from an aerosol can. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is joining us in studio with their heartbreaking message to other parents. Gabby?
Well, Caribe, just 1 week ago, this young woman's parents didn't know what this trend called dusting was. Now they want to make sure all parents know the signs and symptoms.
She was just the light of my life.
Vibrant and vivacious is how Aaron and Dana O'Rourke described their 19-year-old daughter, Rena Kay.
She was just the most caring, beautiful soul I've ever known.
But on May 27th, their world flipped upside down. Rena went into cardiac arrest and was then declared brain dead after inhaling a common household cleaner.
We want to make sure that we use our tragedy so that no other parent ever has to experience looking at their child on life support and a ventilator and not breathing on her own, all because she huffed out of a can.
It's called dusting, getting high by inhaling aerosol dusters like keyboard cleaner. According to Poison Control, most inhalant abusers are teenagers, likely because the products are easily accessible.
My daughter and her boyfriend had door-dashed product to my house, and I didn't know. It's keyboard cleaner. I didn't know what they were doing with it.
Experts warn the chemicals in aerosol sprays can lead to heart failure within minutes.
It's not a matter of if, it will be a matter of when.
A light in the darkness for the O'Rourkes.
We're finding strength and a purpose.
Rena is an organ donor, saving at least 6 lives.
We've been told that her heart is going to a recipient in California, which is kind of beautiful because she was ultimately wanting to move to California. So in a way, her heart's taking her there.
The O'Rourkes say Rena's memory will live with them forever, but they hope her legacy prevents future deaths from a dangerous trend.
But if her life is to mean anything, we are going to do what we can to prevent somebody else's child from being where ours is.
Tempe police tell us they're investigating Rena's death. A GoFundMe page was created to help this family pay for funeral expenses. We have a link on 12news.com. In studio, Gabriella Becerra, 12 News.
That is heartbreaking. Gabby, thank you. Well, 2 weeks after the I-Team reported about an investigation at the federal prison in Phoenix, a billboard has been put up calling attention to the issue. It is off of the I-17 freeway just north of Jomax, and it calls for accountability at FCI Phoenix. Last month, the Bureau of Prisons launched an investigation when 5 employees at the Correctional Institute got sick after they were exposed to an unknown substance. The billboard claims that the warden does not care if the staff die.
A spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons says the billboard isn't accurate, saying staff safety remains the highest priority. They said the items tested after the exposure incidents were negative for anything illicit. However, it's still unclear what they were exposed to. Tonight, a jury has been seated and sworn in for Lori Vallow Daybell's latest trial in Arizona. The trial was delayed twice this week because Vallow Daybell said she wasn't feeling well. This morning, she walked into the courtroom herself rather than using the wheelchair that she had earlier in the week. Ultimately, the judge said he didn't have any pertinent medical information that would keep her from being in court. This will be her 3rd trial in under 3 years. And this time, she's accused of conspiring to kill her niece's ex-husband. Vallow Daybell is representing herself and has pleaded not guilty. Opening statements set for tomorrow.
And 12 Plus will stream daily gavel-to-gavel coverage of the trial starting tomorrow. So make sure you download 12 Plus on your TV so you can watch for free. We'll also have a nightly recap show that begins at 8:30. Again, that's all exclusively streaming on 12 Plus.